Hello and welcome to the November episode of nasscom Insights TechBytes. We are back with interesting insights from our latest research into technology and market trends, which I am sure will be valuable when you define your tech strategy. In this episode, we will delve into 4 interesting reports that we have recently released. We have covered engineering research and design in the nasscom BCG Seizing the ER&D Advantage Frontiers for 2030 report. We have covered space tech in the Exploring Opportunities for Indian Downstream Space Tech report, made in partnership with ISPA, Indian Space Association, and Deloitte. We have also covered generative AI deployment in the study titled FMOps, the Generative AI Imperative for Production, made in partnership with Genpact. And we have also covered technology startups in the nasscom Zinnov Tech Startup Quarterly Investment Factbook. We are also offering a summary of discussions with technology industry experts presented on the nasscom Insights channel in the previous month. And within our Factbook segment, we will relay significant events, deals, contracts, partnerships in the Indian technology sector during October. But before we proceed, please make sure that you have subscribed to our channel to stay updated with the most recent insights and trends in the tech industry. Just click the subscribe button and don't forget to hit the bell icon without delay. And now, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all our analysts as they share takeaways from the latest reports. The good news for you, all of them are free for you, and the download links are in the description box below. Joining us for a discussion on the insights from our report, Seizing the ER&D Advantage Frontiers for 2030 is Vandhana. Welcome to TechBytes, Vandhana.
Thanks, Achyuta.
Vandhana, what does this report, Seizing the ER&D Advantage Frontiers for 2030 cover?
So, this report is a very comprehensive view of the engineering R&D sector, and it presents a holistic viewpoint of the global ER&D market and explores the transformative forces shaping the industry and how it will look like by 2030 as well. So, it details out global ER&D spending shifts, mega trends shaping the industry, sectors leading this growth up to 2030. And also, in addition, it also gives insights into how India's share in the global sourcing market will evolve, and it also includes detailed vertical sector opportunity deep dives along with drivers and over 25 case studies. So, as a part of the research for this report, a survey of over 280 ER&D CXOs was also conducted to understand their priorities regarding spending, short-term and medium-term focus areas, and also key imperatives for the future.
What are some of the key highlights? Can you share?
Sure. So some key highlights that we observed in this report while we were doing our research was that increasing global ER&D spend has sort of become a necessity, with global ER&D spending accelerating post-pandemic, and it has witnessed a CAGR of 7 to 8% from 2020 to 2023. And mega trends for this growth include digital engineering, climate and sustainability, AI augmentation, service orientation, and population and skill inversion. Secondly, overall global business ER&D spend is expected to grow from $1.5 to $1.8 trillion in 2023 to over 2.5 to 3.3 trillion in 2030. And the top 3 sectors, which are healthcare and medical devices, automotive and telecommunications, are expected to contribute to 50% of global ER&D spend by 2030. Thirdly, apart from the largest market of US, other 6 key geographical region or countries that present significant ER&D spend include Japan, South Korea, Germany, France, United Kingdom, and the Nordics. Fourthly, the total ER&D sourcing is expected to grow from $210 to $280 billion in 2023 to over $600 to $770 billion in 2030. And of course, India remains a major destination for ER&D sourcing today, and it is expected to retain its strong positioning as well in the future, with an expected spend of 130 to 170 billion in 2030, which is a growth of 3 to 3.5 times from the current levels. And lastly, to achieve this growth, a robust action plan is needed for India, and this includes infrastructure and policy support, branding and promotion efforts, and of course focus on skilling and our research efforts as well. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing insights, Vandana. ER&D is one of the biggest growth drivers for Indian IT in the last few years and looks like it will continue to be so in the future. For our next report, Exploring Opportunities for Indian Downstream Space Tech, we have Dheeraj with us to discuss some key highlights from the report. So Dheeraj, what was the key objective behind working on this report?
Well, the primary objective behind this report was to understand the overall potential of the downstream space tech segment in India. Now, considering the technical feasibility, economic viability and societal impact, the report identifies and highlights around 25 plus use cases in the subsegments of Earth observation, or we can call it remote sensing, satellite communications, positioning, navigation and timing. And as expected, the end result is a curated selection of use cases that are poised to make a significant impact in their respective sectors over the next 5 years, which includes Earth observation for agriculture, natural resource management, disaster management, satellite communications for broadcasting, education, health, PNT for commercial navigation and so on.
Great. And what are the key market opportunities that can be seen in the downstream space tech market? Could you highlight a few?
Well, I would say the market opportunities can be seen across the downstream segment. If we talk about Earth observation, its market is expanding significantly. I mean, remote sensing data and applications are being actively used in various sectors, including agriculture, disaster management, biodiversity conservation, etc. Now, on that point, interestingly, agriculture and natural resource based use cases alone are expected to be around $2.5 billion market over the next 5 years. Now, moving on to the satellite communication market, here traditional avenues like broadcasting and internet services remain very significant, but untapped areas such as in-flight connectivity, logistics, OTT, these all offer good growth potential. Here, DTH market alone is expected to have market potential of around $12 billion over the next 5 years. Finally, in the PNT space, key trends, these include commercialization of these services with private companies entering the sector, the integration of PNT services into new age products like autonomous vehicles and drones, etc., and evolving futuristic use cases driven by advancing technologies. Now, over the next 5 years, we expect PNT for navigation and tracking for medium and large logistics operators and GNSS based toll collection to be to give a market potential of around $1.2 billion.
Thanks for all these insights and highlights, Dheeraj. Viewers, this is a free report. Download right now.
Thank you.
For our next report, titled Foundation Model Operations, the Generative AI Imperative for Production, we have Namita to give us key highlights from the report. Namita, do help our viewers understand what FMOps is.
Yes, Achyuta. This is a very important term in the realm of generative AI. FMOps, or Foundation Model Operations, deals with the idea of 1. Operational readiness and 2. Infrastructure readiness in order to create enterprise grade generative AI solutions. What it entails overall is architectural alignment, alignment of the types of models, the deployment environment, the operational metrics and optimization that will go into using the compute and store resources, as well as the whole pipelining, because enterprise grade solutions would require multiple kinds of generative AI products. So in a nutshell, it's a way to create an enterprise portfolio of generative AI solutions or products. What it also does is allows enterprises to fine tune the way they select, the way they deploy and utilize generative AI. It's an interesting perspective of ML experts that it's not operationally or principally very different from MLOps. But what is the real need for FMOps? The real need is that operationally, using massive amounts of data makes generative AI solutions very different from normal AI. That is why FMOps is different from ML.
Interesting, Namita, that you touched upon how LLM ops is different from ML ops, given that we did some research last year also. Could you elaborate a little bit on that? And also, how is it different from traditional AI solutioning?
Sure. So Achyuta, ML ops is to narrow AI and FMOps is to generative AI. And the core difference is the generative AI solutions look at using natural language interaction that you and I can do with the system that is in the backend. And also the fact that at the backend, it uses multiple formats of data to create the output, which narrow AI use cases did not have. Now, what that requires is three things. One, for FMOps, it's important that data is prepared in that context. Generative AI solutions require massive amounts of data, and it also requires data to be prepared in different formats. The nature of databases is different. They are vector databases because they facilitate a lot of parallel processing. The second most important thing is applying the whole ethics and bias controls. Because there is so much of data involved, it is not really possible for generative AI models to apply that as an afterthought just to the output. So the ethics and bias controls have to be built in when data is being prepared. And the third most important thing is the whole inferencing or the run cost. Because inferencing is a very compute mass intense thing, FMOps has to really plan for resource optimization. Resources of cloud, of infrastructure, compute, store, they have to be optimized. So these three things make FMOps or LLMOps very different from MLOps in a sense.
Sure, Namit. And given this is new and complex, what are good best practices that you would like to share for creating effective LLMOps and FMOps?
Sure. I think 4 or 5 things that we are beginning to see enterprises apply. The first one is just understanding the overall landscape of LLMOps. Where does it apply? What kind of enterprise grade solutions? The second bit I think is the most important, which is figuring out a combination of, I would say, 4 or 5 right things. The right models to use, whether it's going to be a ChatGPT or a Bard or a Llama or something more focused for your organization to fine tune on, right? The right technique of model building or fine tuning, the right kind of team. Now the team is going to be diverse here. We've spoken about ethics and bias. There are going to be AI ethicists. This is applying to multiple domains within the business. So there'll be domain specialists and AI specialists who would understand what LLMOps is versus narrow AI. Obviously, the right kind of tech stack that we spoke about in terms of architectural alignment. The third thing I would say is setting the responsibilities is very important. We spoke about AI ethicists. Does the bias control stop there, or does it actually become important for leadership to come in and control that? So building the right kind of RACI or the responsibilities within the team is important. And ultimately, I would say the fourth most important thing is having the right metrics. What is it that the output is being measured against? Ultimately, it is the business goals, but there are also responsible AI guidelines. So those 4 would be key, and then the overall policy governance around it.
Perfect. Thank you, Namita. Very interesting report, and viewers, please be reminded that all our reports released this month are free, and you can find the description box, the links in the description box below. For the NASSCOM Zinnov Tech Startup Quarterly Investment Factbook Report, we have Naman with us to share key highlights from the report. So Naman, what were the key highlights that you saw in the startup ecosystem in Q3 CY 2023?
Sure. Thanks, Achyuta, for having me here. Tech startup funding struggled to maintain its momentum. In Q3 CY 2023, funding totaled to US dollars 1.2 billion, which is 20% lower quarter on quarter and 50% lower year on year. The number of deals were also lower, 10% by 10% quarter on quarter and 40% year on year. Also, the drop is felt across all the startup stages. There was a more than 45% average drop observed across all the funding stages year on year, in which early stage funding was affected the most. Late stage funding also continued to slump, raising only by almost 20% of the total funding for CY 2022 in the first 9 months of CY 2023. Deep tech funding was also down by 66% in the first 9 months of 2023 as compared to the first 9 months of 2022. Merger and acquisition deals also saw a downward trend, as they were down by 48% in the first 9 months of 2023 as compared to the first 9 months of 2022, and over a 25% quarter on quarter decline in the ticket sizes was also observed across all stages in Q3 2023.
Looks to be a very difficult year for startups, 2023, right? But what were other trends that you saw, Naman?
Yeah. So, though the funding winter continues to hurt the sentiments of the sector, there are phased course corrections observed in this space as well. I think one of the highlights and one of the main trends was the addition of Zepto to the unicorn list, and thus it has become the first unicorn of 2023. Government programs and policies are initiated with an eye on the Indian tech startup ecosystem's global growth prospects. These policies and initiatives focused on both strengthening the internal ecosystem and promoting external collaboration. Global opportunities and improvements in profitability signal a positive outlook in the listed fintech startups, and they have experienced as much as 3x growth in profits in FY 2023. Also, nascent sectors like aviation, maritime, defense continue to attract investor interest.
So there are some silver linings then, Naman. Thanks for your insights.
Sure, thank you so much.
Now, I'd like to welcome Khyati from our marketing team to provide a concise summary of our recent thought leadership sessions and explain why you should be exploring them. Khyati, over to you.
Thanks, Achyuta. We had a number of interesting and insightful sessions in October. A session was recorded at the sidelines of the Indian Space Conclave during the launch of ISPA nasscom Deloitte Space Tech Report titled Exploring Indian Downstream Space Tech Opportunities. For this conversation, we had former ISRO scientist and current director consulting at Deloitte India, Mr. Damodaran Raman. The conversation revolved around priority use cases for space tech applications from an India perspective. We also partnered with Global Talent Exchange for a session that discussed India's path to global leadership in the wake of the G20 summit. The session included intellectual influence from organizations like World Economic Forum, World Association of Investment Promotion Agencies, also including the former secretary to the Government of India in various policy-making systems. Lastly, we also released the concluding part of our Leader Talk session on the IT modernization key to success in the digital world, which featured leaders from LTI Mindtree, Mastech and Net Solutions.
Thanks, Khyati. We next have Prajwal with us to give a quick overview of key happenings in the Indian tech industry.
Sure, Achyuta. A lot of action this month. Some major tech partnerships include Tata Technologies partnership with AutoSAR. Now, through this, Tata Technologies aims to collaborate with AutoSAR in the development of new standards and software architecture for the future vehicle systems. Next, we have Infosys and Google Cloud strengthening their partnership to assist enterprises in evolving into AI-driven organizations. Infosys will also train 20,000 practitioners to ensure organizations have the professional services expertise. Data partners also entered into a licensing and transfer of technology agreement with Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center. Now, this partnership will provide data patterns with the capability to develop miniature synthetic aperture radar (SAR) technology. We also saw Bharti Airtel announcing its partnership with Microsoft to offer Indian companies calling services over Microsoft Teams via an integration with Airtel IQ. Now, Achyuta, coming to major tech contracts this month, the Air Force Research Laboratory, United States, announced new cooperative research and development agreements between the US Space Force and two Indian startups, 114 AI and Third IT Tech. We also witnessed HGS announcing a strategic partnership with Government Digital Service in the UK to provide contact center support for gov.uk one login user. Next, we saw HCL Tech being chosen by Banco do Brasil to support the bank's digital transformation and customer relationship management journey and implementation of Salesforce. Now, talking about one major acquisition this month, Achyuta, Tata Electronics Private Limited has acquired 100% indirect stake in Wistron Infocom Manufacturing India iPhone manufacturing unit. Now, with this acquisition, Tata will start manufacturing iPhones for India and for the global market as well.
Interesting mix of examples, Prajwal. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Viewers, thank you all for joining us today. You can find all our reports on the NASSCOM community and in the NASSCOM website. We have an array of reports lined up for release in November, so stay tuned. To receive instant notifications when we post new videos on our channel, be sure to click the bell icon. If you found this video insightful, please share it with your friends and colleagues. We eagerly anticipate your feedback.